Now, you might be throwing around your own mobile here and there, but when it comes to somebody else's mobile,
I'll take care.
you'll take care of it maybe better than your own mobile. Without attachment. You know it doesn't belong to you, but still you're acting responsibly. They start turning sour when I kind of depend upon you overly. Then you stop liking me. If the relationship is purely based on mutual service, if my relationship with you is purely based on how I can serve you, that relationship can go on forever because I have no expectations from you.
Yes.
Relationship can potentially turn sour when I'm serving you and also expecting some service from you.
Correct.
So that is why a person who is on this platform is so internally satisfied, so internally happy that such a person can endlessly serve all living entities. And in this way, such a person is dear to everybody. What is the main cause of happiness? Relationship is the foundation of happiness. Such a person will have great relationship and can be very happy when materially speaking. See, I'm reminded of, there is this, heard this scientist called Blaise Pascal. He's a French scientist. See, if you remember, maybe in 9th or 10th standard,
Pranam Prabhuji. So today we are at this wonderful place, Govardhan Eco Village. The first 2 chapters we did it at your temple at Babulnath. Then the next 2 chapters we were at Alibag. And now we've stepped up the ladder also. This eco-friendly place.
Yes.
It's a very nice place.
It's a nice place. You liked it?
Yes. And the weather is perfect. Yeah.
Very nice place.
It's still slightly long to come here, but I guess it's once you come here, I think it's a very different experience. Really. So, we finished chapter 4 last time, probably. And like we said, we started on the path of Karma Yoga in chapter 3, really. Yeah, the practice of it, really. Yeah. And then we discussed, those issues around havans, why havans are done and what's the material benefit and what's the spiritual, shift which you get out of that, the gratitude, selfless service. And then chapter 4, we moved on thereafter to knowledge. Yeah, how knowledge helps really. Then we discussed about aspects of yoga there really. And now chapter 5. So chapter 5 again still continues on the path of karma yoga. I guess it talks about perfecting the whole piece really. And somewhere I read that it talks about sannyasa also on the karma yoga. Is that right really? So doing karma yoga but staying away from karma yoga. And so that's back again like Arjuna's dilemma, a dilemma. Should you do it or should you not do it? So some more lights on that as we move ahead onto chapter 5.
So chapter 3, it's a lot of people call it Karma Yoga. Chapter 4 is called Jnana Karma Sannyas Yoga.
I see. So the sannyasa part is there in 4 also.
Yes. So third is Karma, 4th chapter is Jnana Karma Sannyas Yoga. And Prabhupada, when he named the chapter, he just took the Jnana part there.
I see.
The complete name is Jnana Karma Sannyas Yoga.
So it's all 3 combinations. It's a hybrid.
Yeah, basically what's happening here is you start with your activity Karma Yoga. You practice doing everything as a service to God, trying to remain detached from the fruits of your activities. And then with knowledge, it becomes easier to remain detached from the fruits of your activities. When you gain knowledge, you understand things in the right perspective. And when you understand things in the right perspective, you come to the conclusion that it makes sense. It's more beneficial to serve with a higher purpose than with a selfish intent.
Correct.
So Jnana helps you. See, as we progress on the path of Jnana, when we gain knowledge, it becomes easier to remain detached from the fruits of our activities. And when we practice remaining detached from the fruits of our activities, it also helps in turn to cultivate jnana. They feed each other basically. So the more detached you are from the fruits of your activities, the more your consciousness is receptive for taking in knowledge, transcendental knowledge or jnana.
So I do my work, I do my duty. I don't necessarily get carried away by the outcome. Yeah. I'm not attached to the outcome, but my ability not to be attached to the outcome improves as I gain knowledge.
Yes.
Isn't it? That's what chapter 4 was all about.
Because jnana, knowledge about your inner world, knowledge about transcendental subject matters will draw your desires in the transcendental realm, and your desires from the material realm will fade away in due course. As the desires from your material realm will fade away and your desires in the transcendental field will increase, to that extent it will be easier for you to remain detached from the fruits of the activity.
You get a learning that the material actually is not material enough. It's immaterial.
Yeah, yes, that's very nice way of putting it.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah,
yes. Okay.
So, chapter 4 is a transition phase now. Jnana also has
Like
come
a
into
buffer.
picture. Yeah. So, jnana, karma, and sannyas is coming now. Sannyas means was renunciation from the fruits of your activities here.
I see. So it's not sannyas from work.
No.
I thought it was conflicting with work.
No.
Oh.
Sannyas from the results of your activities.
So that's like detachment.
Detachment.
Okay.
That's what sannyas alludes to here. So jnana, karma, sannyas yoga is the 4th chapter. And the 5th chapter is you have evolved to a level wherein you are totally detached from the material results of your activities and you are totally focused on the spiritual results of your activities.
I see.
And that is called sannyas yoga. 5th chapter is technically called sannyas yoga. Means you are working in this world. You are very much a part of this world. But at the same time, internally, you are a sannyasi. Internally, you are a sannyasi. Externally, you could be whatever you are. See, in this world, detachment and responsibility seems to be contradictory.
Yes.
See, when people, even if they take up responsibility with the selfless intent, the very fact that they're acting responsibly means that in due course of time they become attached, isn't it? A lot of times people take up some responsibility with a selfless intent, but in due course of time they become attached. Even sometimes it happens even with parenting. Parents don't have any expectations from the children, but the nature of this world is when you take responsibility of your children, in due course of time you become attached to them, you start expecting from them. So when there is responsibility, attachment comes along.
Yes.
And a lot of times people feel, enough of attachment, it's causing so much of trouble to me. Let them become detached.
Detached. Yeah.
And in the name of detachment, they become irresponsible also.
Yeah. You sort of give up then.
Then you start giving.
But, you know, that's again why the contradiction, you know, is relevant. I could argue conversely, unless I am attached, I will not give it my everything, my work. Yeah. My devotion, my ownership of the work will happen only when I am attached to it.
Not necessarily.
But we're talking about attachment to the outcomes, actually, not the work.
Yeah. We're discussing about attachment to the results of our activities. It's not necessary to be attached to the results of our activities to be able to do the work responsibly. See, a simple example I will give you. Suppose, I am going to some other place from here. And before I go, I just give you my mobile. And say that just take care of it until I return. Now, you might be throwing around your own mobile here and there, but when it comes to somebody else's mobile,
I'll take care.
You'll take care of it maybe better than your own mobile.
Yeah.
Without attachment. It doesn't belong to you, but still you're acting responsibly.
Yeah.
See, the essence of Karma Yoga, that is why, is to accept everything as a property of God and to accept all service as a service to God. And then you act in a very responsible way without becoming attached to it personally.
Right.
So this is Sanyaas Yoga, which the 5th chapter is talking about here. So we have commenced to this point So the 5th chapter speaks about the symptoms, predominantly the symptoms of a person who is on the highest platform of Karma Yoga, wherein the person is very much engaged in the activities of this world, but internally is totally detached. It's a very high level of perfection. So that's why it's called Sanyaas Yoga. Practically a sannyasi.
But you're still doing your work.
Still you're doing your work. It's still called Nishkama Karma Yoga. Another way of. So, Krishna starts explaining the symptoms of such a person. It is Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma Vijitatma Jitendriya Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma Kurvanapi Nalipyate. This is the 7th verse of the 5th chapter. Yoga Yukto Vishuddhatma. One who is engaged in yoga is a purified soul, Vishuddhatma. Vijitatma Jitendriya is completely control the senses. Controlling the senses means the senses act only when you order them to act. Otherwise, they're completely under your control. Okay. See, when do the senses go out of control? When we are attached to sense gratification of this.
Yeah.
Such a person is detached from the sense gratification of the world. That is why such a person's senses are completely under control. Vijitatma Jitendriya Sarvabhutatma Bhutatma. Such a person is Bhutatma, in the sense that such a person has deep compassion for all living entities, because such a person is on the highest level of a purpose-driven life. Such a person has developed a totally selfless consciousness. Kurvan apina lipyate. Kurvan. Even if such a person performs activities in this world, such a person is never attached to the results of those activities, and such a person is totally absorbed in service to God and through God to the service of all living entities. And such a person is dear to all. I'll read the exact translation here. One who works in devotion, who is a pure soul and who controls his mind and senses, is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to such a person. Though always working, such a person is never entangled. See, in the corporate world, I think one of the important things for a manager is how to manage people, right? People management, I think it's much more difficult than managing assets.
Both are complex.
Both are complex. But I think
people management has a lot of fuzziness around it, because ultimately people are not, pieces. They have their own views, rights, likes, dislikes. So it is so much more difficult, I guess. Yeah.
So basically, from this verse we come to know that a person who is advanced on the path of Karma Yoga can become the best people's manager. Because, see, such a person is naturally lovable. See, in this world, when do relationships start turning sour? They start turning sour when I kind of depend upon you overly. Then you stop liking me.
Yeah, I depend upon you overly, and if there is a mishap in between, in that dependability, then there is a lot of conflict.
There is a conflict, yes. See, if the relationship is purely based on mutual service, and there is no tinge of exploitation. See, if my relationship with you is purely based on how I can serve you, that relationship can go on forever.
Correct.
Because I have no expectations from you.
Yes.
Relationship can potentially turn sour when I'm serving you and also expecting some service from you.
Correct.
So that is why a person who is on this platform is so internally satisfied, so internally happy, that such a person can endlessly serve all living entities. And in this way, such a person is dear to everybody. Such a person can have the most cordial relationship with as many people as such a person wants. Because it's only based on how I can serve the other person, how I can give, rather than on what I can take.
Correct.
So that is why a truly purified soul who has no expectations from the externals of this world is dear to all living entities. And such a person can lead a great life. See, even materially speaking, a great life is a life wherein you have the best of relationships, isn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't it? Ultimately, at the end of the day,
Happiness.
people might be. What is the main cause of happiness? Relationships. Relationships are the foundation of happiness. And such a person will have great relationship and can be very happy even materially speaking. See, I'm reminded of, there is this, heard this scientist called Blaise Pascal. He was a French scientist. See, if you remember, maybe in 9th or 10th standard, we had this,
Pascal's law?
Pascal's law was also there, but I don't remember exactly what the Pascal's law is. But I do remember that the unit of pressure was Pascal.
Yes.
The unit of pressure was Pascal.
Newton meters.
Yes, he's considered to be one of the brightest scientists who ever lived, actually. So he contributed in the field of physics. He contributed in the field of conic sections also. See, conic sections, it came in 11th, 12th standards, I suppose, and it was really taxing for me personally. Conic section, it was very difficult for me to imagine all those things. But he's the person who developed it, and surprisingly, he developed it all. His contributions in the field of physics and conic sections was in his early teens. And in the late teens to study all of that is difficult, but he developed it in his early teens. That's how a brilliant mind he was. But then it so happened that he turned to God consciousness because of some devout Christians.
Nice.
In his early life only. So he shifted from the field of science to the field of philosophy. So today in France, if you try to find out who is the greatest scientist, Pascal's name will feature. And if you also try to find out who are the greatest philosophers, Pascal's name will feature because he contributed greatly into the field of philosophy also. And Blaise Pascal, he developed what is called as it's a philosophical argument called the Pascal's wager. You heard about it?
No.
See, you know what is a wager?
Yes. Bet.
Yes. Correct. So he proposes in this that if you bet in the existence of God, and you lead your life, betting on the existence of God. Even, suppose for argument's sake, even if God doesn't exist, you end up leading a better life than a person who doesn't believe in the existence of God. It's a detailed thesis that he has developed and it still holds ground today.
I see.
Isn't that interesting? So
it's like Krishna telling Arjuna, you will get no harm.
Something along the same lines. Something along
Lose
the same.
nothing.
See, what we're discussing today is something along the same lines that we're discussing here. See, such a person who is advanced on the path of Karma Yoga leads the best material life also possible. See, Swami Prabhupada, when he was spreading ISKCON all over the world, he used to travel from one city to another, and in this way he circled the globe, I think, 12 or 13 times.
My God.
So whenever he used to visit a particular city, and the movement grew very fast. It exploded practically under him. And so he was very famous. So whenever he used to come to any particular city, reporters used to throng through the airport to ask him questions. So once a reporter challenges him, Swamiji, at the end of life, what if you come to realize that there is no Krishna? So Prabhupada, he was a very witty person. So he snapped back to the reporter. He said that, suppose you die at the end of life, you realize
that
there is Krishna, you are in deep trouble. Okay. And as far as I go, even if for argument's sake, I realize that, there is no Krishna, there are no regrets because still I have led a great life.
Correct.
Still I have led a great life. So it's better to believe in the existence of God and lead a better life.
Then risk not following that.
You're not following it, isn't it? So this is what Krishna is telling about the symptom of a person who's on the platform Nishkama Karma Yoga here. And then in the next set of verses, he speaks. I'll just read the translation. A person in divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects, and that is aloof from them. So, what is explained here is that such a person is always conscious that I'm not the doer.
Someone else is doing it. Each of these activities.
Yeah. So the senses, the body is separate from my soul.
Mm.
See, at the stage of Karma Yoga, it's theoretical understanding. And then at the stage wherein we are inculcating jnana and we are growing on the path of detachment, this knowledge becomes more and more realized.
Mm.
And the 5th chapter here, we have reached a position wherein the person is totally detached. Such a person's jnana or transcendental knowledge has completely blossomed within the heart. And such a person is living that knowledge. It is no longer theoretical any longer.
Mm.
For such a person, it's truth. It's a reality.
Mm.
As much as you sitting in front of me is a reality for me, similarly, for such a person, the soul being different from the body is a practical reality.
Mm.
So, such a person, such a platform is able to identify 3 entities. See, in the previous discussion we had discussed that for the accomplishment of the results of any activities, there are 5 factors.
Yeah.
The body, skill sets,
Endeavor.
and Daiva, higher powers.
Deva. Ultimately Deva.
Ultimately, Daiva, God, higher powers. Now, you can divide these 5 into 3 things. First of all, our endeavor is, the soul is endeavoring to perform activities. Correct? The soul is playing a role here. The soul is responsible for the results of the activities. Prakriti is also responsible for the results of the activities because Prakriti involves the material nature. See, I might desire to raise my hands, but ultimately this hand is made of matter. So matter has to cooperate with the spirit for this hand to be raised.
Correct.
And it has to be sanctioned by Daiva, God. So God,
Soul.
Ishvara, Prakriti and Jiva.
Mm.
So these 3 things are responsible for the accomplishment of any
Task.
activity, of any task. So when the person is always aware that I am just playing my part, and a part has to be played by Prakriti also,
Mm.
a part has to be played by Ishvara also. See, how do these 3 interact with each other is important to understand that now. I give this example often, you have your son Parth. So now he's a grown-up man, young man. But when he was younger, when he was a kid, maybe sometimes you used to take him out on a Sunday evening. Where you used to take him? On Sundays or Saturdays?
Said Shivaji Park Beach.
To the beach.
Yeah.
So suppose you're taking Parth on a walk on the side of the beach. And suppose, he is just recovering from common cold, let's say. And then he sees the ice cream wala there, who's selling ice cream.
I want the ice cream.
And he starts telling, I want ice cream, I want ice cream, I want ice cream. And you try to speak some sense into him. No. You shouldn't eat ice cream because if you eat ice cream, you'll
Fall ill again.
fall ill again. But then he insists. And reluctantly, you buy him an ice cream. And lo and behold, the next day he again falls sick.
Who's responsible?
Who is responsible?
I knew it was coming.
Who is responsible for him falling sick? Is he responsible? Are you responsible? Or is ice cream wala responsible? See, now, Parth, he's playing the role of a jiva here.
Mm.
That the jiva desires to perform an activity. God has to sanction. You're playing the role of God here as his father. And the ice cream wala is playing the role of material nature or Prakriti. The laws of nature.
Mm.
All 3 have to act for a particular result to be obtained.
Mm.
Now, sometimes people tend to blame God.
Always blame God.
See, whenever something bad happens, they tend to blame God.
Correct. When good happens, then it is my doing.
When something good happens,
I told you.
yes, I did it. But actually, the Gita teaches us the opposite. See, in certain places in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he emphasizes on how the jiva is not actually responsible for the result. Especially when the result is good. Ahankara vimudhatma kartaham iti manyate, Krishna says. Because of ahankar,
We discussed that right in the beginning when Arjuna comes out of the chariot. He tells Arjuna,
yes,
you step down
Yes.
first before I do.
yes. So, ahankara vimudhatma, the tendency of the jiva is to take credit.
Ego.
Ego.
Yeah.
Because of the ego, the jiva tends to take credit. And in a lot of places in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he tells the jiva that there are other factors responsible. Otherwise, you don't have got the result.
Correct.
The karmanyam adhikara is based on the same principle.
Absolutely.
But there are other sections in the Bhagavad Gita wherein the responsibility is held on the jiva. Shariram yad avapnoti yad chapi utkramati ishvara. This is in the 15th chapter, it will come in the future. There it is explained how the living entity transmigrates through the various species of life within the material world. And there the living entity is addressed as Ishvara, or in the sense that the living entity is the controller.
I see.
Because of the living entity's wrong use of free will, the living entity is unnecessarily transmigrating within this material world. There the living entity is held responsible.
I see.
See, because it's the living entity's choice. Without see, in the story of the Parth and you, Parth, he was insistent that he wants to eat the ice cream. If he hadn't insisted, you wouldn't have provided him the ice cream. You reluctantly sanctioned it. So similarly, when the living entity is transmigrating through the various species of life, it's because the living entity wants to satisfy different material desires. The living entity, the Supreme Lord gives his good instructions in the Bhagavad Gita of how to gain liberation. If we don't pay heed to his instructions, we are ourselves responsible. See, that is why the Gita's wisdom is, when we meet success, we should give credit to other, to Prakriti, to Ishvara. That will keep us humble, which is good for us. And when failure comes, we should learn to take responsibility that I am
responsible. Okay.
And that will help us improve.
That also will get humility.
That will also get humility. So that is why the Gita gives us wisdom in this way. And in order to be able to apply it, we need to understand these three entities working together.
Got it.
See, now, another interesting thing here is, I was reading some interesting things about willpower. See, willpower is something that has intrigued scientists for a very long time. What exactly is willpower? Sometimes they believe that certain people are born with certain more willpower, certain other people are born with less willpower. What exactly is willpower? And then there were a few experiments through which they better understood what willpower is all about. And one of these experiments I was reading, one of the universities in the West again, a group of students, undergrad students, were asked to skip a meal and come for an experiment. So a lot of them were famished. They came there and they were made to sit in front of tables. And in front of each student, 2 bowls were kept. A bowl of hot cookies with liquid chocolate on it. Very delicious, these delicious smelling cookies. And in another bowl was radish, mooli. So they were told this is an experiment on the taste buds. So one group of students, the first group of students was said that you eat cookies. And the second group of students were said, you eat radish. The first group of students were on heaven now. They were anyway hungry, skipped a meal. They started devouring the cookies. So once having said this, the student, the experimenters left the room and started observing the entire thing through 2 mirrors. So the first group of students were in heaven eating the cookie. Second group of students had to really exert their willpower not to eat the cookies. Some of them were spelling the cookies, keeping it back, but eating the radish because they were told. And sometimes they used to keep back the cookies and then lick their fingers because the chocolate was still sticking to the fingers. So they're really struggling to eat the radish while the cookie was right there. They were using up a lot of their willpower in the process. They were not told that this is an experiment on willpower. So after this part of the experiment was over, the experimenters came back and then they told them that to start with the second part of the experiment, there's a break in between. And during the break, you're all asked to solve a puzzle. And actually, this was the main part of the experiment, but they were not told that. They said that this just solve a. See, there is this puzzle, right? There are dots, and you have to join the dots without lifting the pencil. So this particular puzzle that they were told to solve was an impossible puzzle in the sense that it couldn't be solved at all. And they were told, everyone was told that you need to solve this puzzle. So what happens is, people who had eaten the cookies because they hadn't used their willpower because they just ate the cookies directly, they still had a lot of reserve willpower with them.
I see.
And still, so they kept trying to solve the puzzle over and over and over again. On an average, people tried for 19 minutes before giving up. But the second group of students, some of them snapped at the experimenters. What a dumb experiment this is. Because they're so tired because they have used up the radish. And so, they either slept on the table itself. On an average, they gave up after only 6 or 7 minutes. Less than half. Maybe around 1/3 of the time they gave up. So, through a series of such experiments, these people understood that willpower it's like the muscles in our body. If you use it, you'll get tired. It diminishes. And then you'll have to take a break and then again, your muscle power will come back. Similarly, your willpower comes back. It's an exhaustible resource, basically. Willpower is an exhaustible resource. Like the muscle power in your body. See now, when you don't have this understanding that I'm just playing a role in the overall scheme of things, that, God has to sanction, material Prakriti has to facilitate, and then only accomplishment will happen. Without this complete understanding, what happens is, when we come across failures in life, there's a tendency, we need to really, every time we fail, we need to get up and start trying again, and that uses a lot of willpower. See, when you believe that I am the sole doer, it's very exhausting on the level of your willpower.
Correct.
Every time you fail, to pick yourself up once again and start walking again, it requires a lot of
willpower.
But on the other hand, if you understand, I'm just playing my part. And there are other factors which are responsible.
So let me try it again.
It's much easier, and the willpower that you get that gets exhausted is much lesser when you have a complete understanding of the scheme of things. See, in the Srimad Bhagavatam also, that is why there's this beautiful episode which comes in the 6th canto of a fight between Indra and Vritrasura.
Yeah.
So Indra, on the face of it, Indra is a Devata and he's a Danava. Vritrasura is a Danava, he's an Asura. But actually internally, Vritrasura was highly elevated. And Indra was still attached to the results of his activities. So as the fight proceeds, what happens is, Indra, he's fighting this Gada initially, and then he's made to fall off his elephant Airavata, and he becomes discouraged. And Vritrasura, he encourages Indra. Come on, keep fighting. And even Vritrasura goes through a lot of reversals during the fight. His hands gets cut off. And so many things happen. But he is going on and on and on. And Indra is not even able to overcome 1 or 2 reversals. And it's actually Vritrasura who gives a pep talk to Indra on the battlefield. that come on, continue fighting. It's like a sports match between two tennis players, and they're trying to encourage each other if the other person is giving up in between. Why? Because Vritrasur, in one of the prayers, Nanaka Prashtam, Nacha Parameshtyam, Nasarabhomam, Narsadhipatyam, he explains that I'm not interested in any of the materialistic rewards of this world. He's on the platform of highest perfection of even beyond Nishkama Karma Yoga. That is why he has a complete understanding. And so he is not bogged down by reversal. See, even if you see modern history also, people who really made it, despite all odds, in the long haul, Martin Luther King, Gandhiji, these were spiritual people. So when you have that spirituality in you, when you have that understanding of Ishvara, when you have an understanding of things beyond you, it actually increases your willpower and to accomplish things. So Nishkama Karma Yoga, to aspire for it and to be progressive on that path, is even beneficial from a material perspective. That's the point I'm trying to put across here. And in the next verse, Krishna makes a very beautiful analogy. Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyatva karoti lipyate sa papena padmapatram ivambhasa. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action as a lotus leaf is untouched by water. The example of a lotus leaf.
Lotus leaf, yes.
So lotus leaf is there. There's water on the lotus leaf.
It drains off. Doesn't stick.
It's on the lotus leaf. At the same time, it is not on the lotus leaf. Because there is a thin layer of wax covering the lotus leaf. So this is a very graphic example that Krishna says. That a person who is on the platform of Sanyaas Yoga or Nishkama Karma Yoga is very much engaged in the activities of this world. At the same time, has a sense of absolute detachment. And this detachment is the biggest power. See, a person who is detached, you can't really catch that fellow. So in the modern day world, there is this thing, this concept of honey trap. Honey trap? All the spies and all the nation's secrets are removed because of using honey traps. See, when you have materialistic tendency, when you are inclined towards sense gratification, it's a weakness which others can exploit you for. And there are so many other examples of, people falling from grace because of, bribery and things like that. So the point here is, sense gratification is a weakness. And a person who is a karma yogi is a person who cannot be trapped at all.
Correct.
Such a person has no weakness.
Yeah, attention cannot be diverted. You cannot divert that person's attention.
You can't divert and you cannot tempt such a person.
Tempt, yes.
You can allure such a person. You can't allure or tempt the person away from his or her prescribed duties. See, even from the perspective of prosperity of a nation, the more the people turn towards Nishkama Karma Yoga, the more they can be productive even in terms of nation building.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So, the yogis, abandoning attachment, act with body, mind and intelligence, and even with the senses, only for the purpose of purification. The steadily devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because such a person offers the results of all activities to me, Krishna is telling. Whereas a person who is not in union with the divine, who is greedy for the fruits of his labor, becomes entangled.
So maybe for leadership positions, we should look out for people who don't have too many distractions, really. That is an automatic reason to say, hey, this person will be very much focused on the work, really, and nothing else, really.
I would go one step ahead and say that people who are more spiritual should be made leaders. Truly spiritual, not namesake spiritual. Not just ritualistic, but actually spiritual. So, we will take a group of some very interesting verses regarding the personality of a Nishkama Karma Yogi. Maybe in our next session there?
Sure. So, thank you for today. Yeah, see you. Bye.
Previously, in chapter 3, we started with Karma Yoga, and In chapter 4, we moved on to understanding more about Karma Yoga and therefrom to Jnana Yoga. We now start with chapter 5, which talks about Sanyaas. Sanyaas doesn't mean staying away from worldly pleasures. It means detachment from the results of your activities. When we gain knowledge or Gyan, it helps us in becoming detached from the fruits of our activities. And the more detached we are from the outcomes of our activities, the more receptive we are towards receiving more knowledge. More knowledge in turn helps our desires of the material world to fade away, which help us ascend on the transcendental path. Through sannyas, while externally you are working and living in the world and are very much a part of the world, however, internally you are a sannyasi, not attached. Remember, detachment and responsibility are not necessarily contradictory. Detachment does not mean that you are irresponsible. You accept everything as belonging to God and you go about doing your work as if you are doing it for God. But you are detached from the outcomes. When you are attached in service to God, you are in effect attached in service to all living beings. And finally, for any activity to happen and get completed, there are three pieces which need to work in coordination. Firstly, the Jeev has to desire intensely. Thereafter, Prakriti must facilitate it. And finally, God needs to necessarily sanction it. Only then does an activity get complete. Unfortunately, whenever an outcome is successful, the Jeev tends to take the credit for it fully and blame God when it is unsuccessful, when in effect it should be the other way around. A karma yogi is very much engaged in the activities of the world. But at the same time, there is a sense of detachment. Hence, a karma yogi cannot be tempted, lured, or honey-trapped. That is why, in fact, some of the best leaders are spiritually very strong people.